Hello everyone, welcome to AI Seeking the Truth. Got another off the rail encounter for you. I think you're going to really enjoy this one. Our first week in our new home was nothing short of extraordinary. The first night was marked by an unexplained phenomenon that still cannot be explained to this day, which I mentioned to my mom just the other day. We spoke about it. One evening, as my parents were watching TV, in bed, they started to hear a child's voice calling out from the hallway. "Mama," the voice cried, followed by a long drawn-out "Mama." My mother, thinking it was either my sister or me, asked my father to check on us. My father, who was eager to fall asleep, got out of bed and walked through the dark hallway to check on us. He looked into each room and saw that my sister and I were fast asleep. "They're both asleep," he reported back to my mother, closing the bedroom door. However, my mother was insistent that she had heard the voice. "Well, that's odd, because I heard someone say 'Mama' a couple of times," she said. No sooner had she spoken than the voice called out again, "Mama," followed by a drawn-out "Mom." My father, slightly annoyed, got out of bed again to check on us. This time he turned on the light and peeked into each room, only to find that my sister and I were still fast asleep. He returned to the bedroom, shutting the door behind him. However, as soon as he laid down, the voice started again. "Mama, Mama." It called out. This time the bedroom door opened by itself, and a disembodied voice called out again. My mother was terrified as she heard the voice coming from the hallway, slowly making its way around the bed to her side. "Oh my God, Barry. I think it's Mother," she whispered. As the footsteps stopped on her side of the bed, an imprint began to appear on the bed as if someone was sitting down. My mother could feel something cold and slightly heavy pressing down on her lower body. And that's when my mom said. She yelled, "Barry, I think something is sitting on my legs. What do I do?" she asked, panic-stricken. My father, trying to stay calm, jumped out of bed and began waving his hands over my mother's legs. "Get out of here," he shouted, still waving his hands around, as if trying to shoo the entity away. My mother immediately felt the weight off of her legs as my father continued to shout at it in the air and demanded it to leave in Jesus' name. Whatever the entity was, it seemed to have had enough of our presence. My father looked at my mother and asked if it was gone. She said she couldn't feel anything on her legs anymore, but she still was unsure. "I'm checking on the kids," she whispered, practically running out of the room with my father behind her. To their amazement, my sister and I were still fast asleep. That night was just the beginning of a series of inexplicable events that would plague our household for years to come. Over the next 30 years, my family would experience many more strange occurrences, each one leaving us with more and more questions. As I look back to those events, I'm still trying to make sense of what happened. My mom and dad were asleep one night, and they thought that I had snuck into their bedroom and was laying between them. Whenever they both raised up and looked at the same time, they saw a deceased little girl laying in their bed with them. When they tried to get up, of course both of them were startled and yelling. It reached its arms and grabbed onto my dad's shirt and my mom's nightgown and tried to hold them back as they tried to get out of the bed. This house has a lot of problems, and they're still going on to this day. In fact, my dad just put up Christmas lights after Thanksgiving the other day, and now the Christmas lights all seem to flash and dance and go crazy at night, and they're not the ones that do that. They're just the ones you plug in. But my dad can go out there and plug in anything else into it, and it burns or works just the way that it should. But only at certain times do things start doing that. It's really scary around here. Again, I think you need to probably consult a preacher. Sounds like you got some pretty evil things in there, and I wouldn't be hanging around to wait and see if it hurts you, because it may end up start hurting you. If it's doing that, touching you, grabbing you and stuff like that, messing with the lights, I would definitely be speaking to a preacher or somebody, or you guys can even do that if you feel comfortable with it, and get it out of your house. What do you think, guys? What do you think's going on in their house? Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.